I want to take you back to that very first moment before the weariness, before the doubt, before the countless roadblocks started piling up. The day you decided to start this journey. Do you remember where you were? Maybe you were sitting at a kitchen table, scribbling dreams in a notebook. Maybe you were lying awake at night, heart pounding, because you knew there was something more for your life and you couldn't rest until you reached for it. Or maybe it wasn't a dramatic moment at all, just a quiet, steady conviction that whispered, this is it. This is the path. In that moment, you didn't yet know every twist and turn that would come. You didn't know how heavy it would feel at times. You didn't know that there would be days when the weight of your own vision would feel almost too much to carry. All you knew was that your heart leaned forward and your spirit said yes. And in that yes was power. In that yes was courage. In that yes was a reason. A why. That mattered enough for you to take the first step. The problem is, somewhere along the way, life starts piling on distractions, doubts, and disappointments. The initial spark that felt so bright can get buried under deadlines, criticism, and the slow erosion of energy that comes from trying, failing, and trying again. And when that happens, it's so tempting to think, maybe I should just walk away. Maybe this isn't worth it anymore. But here's what I've learned. Those moments when you want to quit are rarely the moments when you should. They're the moments when you need to remember why you began in the first place. Your why isn't just a nice idea. It's your anchor. It's what holds you steady when the storm hits. It's the thing that makes the difference between walking away with regret or pushing through with grit. And when you reconnect with it, something shifts inside you. The road doesn't get easier, but your legs get stronger. The obstacles don't disappear, but your focus sharpens. Sometimes we forget that the reasons we started aren't just about us. Maybe your why is tied to your family, to giving your kids a better life than you had. Maybe it's about making a difference in a community that's been overlooked. Maybe it's about proving to yourself that you are capable of more than what life once told you. Whatever it is, it's personal. And because it's personal, it's powerful. But you can't just think about your why when it's convenient. You have to revisit it intentionally. That might mean literally writing it down where you can see it every day. It might mean telling your story out loud to someone who will hold you accountable. It might even mean physically going back to the place where it all began, walking through the same door, sitting in the same chair, standing in the same spot where you first decided, I'm going to do this. When you do that, you reconnect with the emotions that fueled you at the start. And here's the thing, emotions are energy. They can propel you forward or drag you down. In the beginning, your energy was fresh and focused. Now, when you feel like quitting, you have to recreate that environment in your mind, because motivation isn't something you wait for. It's something you go back and get. I've seen people walk away from dreams they were just inches away from reaching simply because they forgot why they started. They forgot the promise they made to themselves. They forgot that the vision they had wasn't just a passing thought. It was a calling. And when you're called to something, you will be tested in ways you never imagined. The truth is, if your why isn't strong enough to make you stand back up after being knocked down, then you need to go deeper. Ask yourself, what was I really chasing? What was I willing to sacrifice for? The clearer you get on that, the more resilient you become when the days are hard. And here's what I need you to hear. The day you started, you were ready. You might not have been fully equipped, but you were willing. And willingness is often more important than readiness, because readiness can be faked, but willingness comes from the soul. That same willingness is still in you. It's just buried under fatigue and fear. Dig it back up. I want you to picture your future self, the version of you who didn't quit, the one who pushed through, the one who can look back and say, I remember the moment I almost gave up, and I'm so glad I didn't. That person exists because of the choice you make right now. That person is waiting on you to remember why you started. Because when you remember that, quitting stops feeling like an option. I know it's easy to think that if you were stronger or more disciplined or more talented, this wouldn't feel so hard. But that's not true. Struggle is not a sign that you're doing something wrong. It's a sign that you're doing something that matters. If it were easy, it wouldn't shape you. And if it didn't challenge you, it wouldn't change you. I want you to really hear this. The difficulties you're facing right now are part of the exact process that will prepare you for the breakthrough you've been praying for. You can't skip this part. You can't fast forward past it. Every setback, every slow day, every moment when it feels like nothing's moving, these are the moments that are building your capacity to carry the success you want. The danger is when we start letting struggle define us. When the story in your head becomes, I'm the person who always falls short, or I just can't get this right. You're letting temporary circumstances rewrite the truth about you. And the truth is you've made it through things before that you didn't think you'd survive. You've already proven you can do hard things. This isn't the first time you've been tired. It's not the first time you've been unsure. But here you are, still breathing, still standing, still in the fight. The difference between those who keep going and those who quit is not that the first group never feels doubt. They do. They just refuse to let that doubt become their compass. They feel it, acknowledge it, and then keep moving forward anyway. And sometimes moving forward doesn't look glamorous. Sometimes it's not a giant leap. It's a single step. But that step counts. That step keeps you in the game. It's easy to romanticize the start of the journey and the finish line, but most of the real work happens in this messy middle ground. The days when you have to drag yourself through the motions, the days when the excitement has worn off and it's just you, your discipline, and your decision to keep showing up. That's where strength is forged. That's where you earn the right to finish. If you're in that place right now, where the weight feels almost unbearable, I need you to know it's not a signal to stop. It's proof you're in the process of growing into someone stronger than you were when you began. And the version of you that's on the other side of this, they're worth fighting for. We live in a world that's obsessed with big wins and instant results. So it's no wonder we sometimes feel like what we've done so far doesn't count unless it's perfect. But here's the truth. Progress is the real proof you're on the right path, not perfection. Perfection is an illusion. It's a moving target that will always stay just out of reach. If you wait to feel satisfied until everything is flawless, you'll never feel satisfied at all. Think about where you were when you started, not just the goal you had in mind, but the person you were. Look at the skills you've built, the relationships you've formed, the lessons you've learned. These are milestones. They might not all be flashy or Instagram worthy, but they matter. They're evidence that you've been moving forward step by step, even when it felt slow. The problem is we rarely pause to acknowledge our own progress. We're so focused on what's left to do that we forget to see what we've already done. It's like climbing a mountain while staring only at the peak. You miss the breathtaking view behind you. And when you don't recognize your progress, you rob yourself of the fuel you need to keep going. Measuring progress means celebrating small wins. It means telling yourself, I may not be where I want to be yet, but I'm further than I was yesterday. It's about realizing that the distance you've traveled matters just as much as the distance ahead. Every step, even the imperfect ones, are part of the story you're building. When you shift your focus from perfection to progress, you give yourself permission to be human. You stop beating yourself up for every mistake and start seeing mistakes for what they really are. Lessons in disguise. Progress isn't just about moving forward. It's about learning as you go, adapting when things change, and refusing to let setbacks erase the ground you've already covered. So if you're feeling like quitting because you're not there yet, pause and take a look back. You might realize you've already come too far to turn around now. There's a moment in every journey when you realize you can't keep going the same way you started. What worked for you in the beginning might not be enough to carry you to the end. And that's where adaptability comes in. Life is never going to roll out a perfect, obstacle-free red carpet to your goal. It's going to throw curveballs, unexpected challenges, shifting circumstances, things you never saw coming. The people who make it to the finish aren't the ones who have the easiest path. They're the ones who learn how to pivot without losing sight of the vision. Sometimes we get so attached to how we thought it would happen that we miss better opportunities, hiding in the mess. We cling to the plan instead of the purpose. And when the plan falls apart, we start thinking the dream is dead. But the dream isn't dead. It's just taking a different route. You have to be willing to adjust your strategy without letting go of the goal. Flexibility is not weakness. It's survival. It's resilience in action. But adaptability isn't just about reacting. It's about anticipating. It's about staying open enough to see possibilities when they present themselves. That means keeping your mind clear, your ego in check, and your eyes on the bigger picture. The goal is still the same. You're just finding a new way to get there. And sometimes that new way ends up being better than what you originally planned. Now, adaptability is powerful, but it's fueled by something even deeper. The ability to draw on your inner strength when everything around you feels uncertain. That strength isn't just willpower. It's conviction. It's the belief that no matter what happens, you will not let this be the end of your story. And when you anchor yourself in that belief, you become harder to shake. That inner strength is built in quiet moments, the ones nobody sees. It's built in the mornings when you get up before the sun to work on your dream, even though no one is watching. It's built in the evenings when you say no to distractions because you promised yourself you would stay committed. Strength isn't a flash of inspiration. It's a steady commitment to keep showing up for yourself. But here's the thing. Strength doesn't mean you never feel tired, doubtful, or even scared. It means you acknowledge those feelings and still choose to move forward. You give yourself permission to rest, but you don't give yourself permission to quit. That's the difference. And the longer you practice that, the more you realize your strength doesn't come from what you achieve. It comes from who you become in the process. And this is where the final piece comes in, reigniting your passion. Because you can have adaptability and inner strength, but if you lose your fire, it's hard to keep going. Passion is the fuel that makes the work feel alive. It's what reminds you that you're not just doing this because you have to. You're doing it because it matters. Over time, passion can fade, not because you don't care anymore, but because life piles on enough weight to dim the flame. When that happens, you have to go back and stoke the fire. Sometimes that means reconnecting with the people who inspire you. Sometimes it means immersing yourself in stories of others who've walked this path and made it through. And sometimes it's as simple as taking a break long enough to remember what you loved about this in the first place. The thing about passion is that it's contagious. When you start to live and work from a place of genuine excitement again, people feel it. Doors open, opportunities multiply, and even the challenges feel a little less heavy. And passion isn't about hype. It's about depth. It's not just getting yourself pumped up for a day. It's cultivating a deeper sense of meaning in what you're doing so that it keeps fueling you for years to come. So if you're feeling like quitting, maybe it's not that you're out of strength or that you've lost your ability to adapt. Maybe you just need to fan the flame again. Get back to the heart of why you started. Adjust the sails if the wind has changed. Lean into the strength you've been building and watch how that spark becomes a fire that can carry you the rest of the way. because the truth is you're not finished. You've still got more in you. And this right here is just the beginning. There's a kind of strength that doesn't roar, doesn't make a scene, and doesn't demand attention. It's the quiet, steady force inside you that shows up every single day, even when nobody's clapping, even when the results are slow, even when every excuse to quit is sitting right in front of you. That's the kind of strength that actually lasts. We sometimes confuse strength with toughness, like it's about never showing weakness or never feeling pain. But real strength is the ability to keep moving despite the pain, to stand firm even when your knees are shaking. It's not pretending you're unbreakable. It's knowing you can be bent, pushed, and stretched to your limit and still choose not to give in. The truth is, life is going to test you. It's going to strip away the easy options. It's going to put you in places where you have no choice but to dig deep. And when you reach for that inner reserve, you might surprise yourself with what you find there. You might discover that you've been carrying more resilience than you ever realized. But here's what's important. You don't just find inner strength when things get hard. You build it in the small, ordinary decisions you make every day. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you're building it. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you're building it. Every time you face something uncomfortable, instead of running from it, you're building it. These moments stack up, layer upon layer, until one day you realize you've created a foundation so solid that even the biggest storms can't shake it. Now, strength doesn't mean you can't rest. In fact, knowing when to pause is part of being strong. It's not about burning yourself out to prove you're committed. It's about pacing yourself so you can stay in the race. Think about a long distance runner. They don't sprint the whole way. They find a rhythm that keeps them moving mile after mile, even when their body starts to protest. That's what strength looks like in your life. And when the challenges keep coming, and they will, it's that inner strength that will carry you through when motivation runs dry. Motivation is a spark, but strength is the engine. Motivation gets you started, but strength keeps you going. And if you've been in this fight for a while, you already have more of it than you think. You just have to trust that it's there. Because the moment you decide to quit is often the same moment you were just about to prove to yourself how strong you really are. Somewhere along the way, we forget why we began. We get so caught up in deadlines, checklists, and the grind that we start running on autopilot. And when the weight gets heavy and the obstacles pile up, that's when the thought of quitting sneaks in. It doesn't always arrive loudly. It's quiet, creeping in with questions like, is this even worth it anymore? Or maybe it's time to just walk away. And here's the thing, those moments are dangerous not because they mean you've failed, but because they mean you've lost touch with the reason you started in the first place. When you first began, there was a fire. Maybe it was excitement, maybe it was hunger, maybe it was desperation, but it was alive. It pushed you past fear, past doubt, past the voices that said you couldn't do it. And you didn't start this just to give up halfway. That original spark wasn't there by accident. It was a signal pointing you towards something that mattered deeply to you. The truth is, passion doesn't die. It gets buried. It gets buried under fatigue, under rejection, under the noise of other people's opinions. And when that happens, you have to dig for it. You have to strip away the layers of disappointment, frustration, and fear until you uncover the part of you that still remembers why you cared so much in the first place. That's the ember that can reignite the fire. Reigniting passion isn't about forcing yourself to feel hyped up. It's not about playing your favorite song, doing a few jumping jacks, and hoping the energy sticks. Real passion is deeper than that. It's a connection to meaning. It's looking at your journey and remembering the faces, the places, the moments that lit you up before all of this got hard. It's asking yourself, If I walked away now, would I regret not seeing this through? And if the answer is yes, then you already know you still have unfinished business. Sometimes reigniting that fire means stepping back for a moment, not to quit, but to breathe. Distance can give you perspective. When you're right in the middle of the grind, it's easy to lose sight of the bigger picture. But when you step away just long enough to look at what you've already built, you might realize you're standing on a foundation that's stronger than you thought. That realization can be enough to fuel you again. Other times, it's about surrounding yourself with the right energy. Passion grows in the presence of people who believe in what you're doing, people who remind you of your potential, not your limitations. If you've been around voices that drain you, it's no wonder your fire feels dim. Put yourself where the conversations are about possibilities, not excuses. Let that energy rub off on you until you remember how it feels to be lit up from the inside. And here's the powerful thing about passion. Once you start to feel it again, everything changes. Your energy shifts. Your creativity opens up. You stop seeing challenges as stop signs and start seeing them as opportunities to prove how much you want this. Passion doesn't make the work easier. It makes the work worth it. You can push yourself without passion, but it's not sustainable. Eventually, you'll hit a wall. But when passion is driving you, that wall becomes something you find a way around over or through. Because you're no longer just working toward a goal, you're working from a place of purpose. And that's why quitting becomes impossible when you reconnect with your why. It's not that the obstacles disappear. It's that your desire to finish becomes stronger than your desire to stop. You start to see yourself not as someone who's trying, but as someone who's already on their way. Someone who's already becoming the version of themselves they dreamed of when they started. So if you're standing in that place where it feels easier to walk away, don't make that choice until you've gone back to the beginning in your mind. Remember the day you decided this mattered. Remember the vision that kept you awake at night. Remember the feeling of possibility before doubt crept in. That's still yours. That's still alive. And when you can tap into that, again, you'll realize quitting isn't even on the table anymore because you were never here to stop halfway. You were here to finish.